tomatoes, Renee. We wanted to talk tomatoes this morning. I know that for some of you all, it's already tomato season. And for some of you all, you're looking forward to tomato season. So, we want to discuss some of the varieties we grow. No holds barred. There's a couple of the varieties Tiffany does not care for at all that I think are okay. Now, that being said, the ones she doesn't care for, I only think are okay. So that means they're not up to our standards 100%. The majority of the ones that I love, she loves. But we both have our favorites. We both have our favorite orange tomatoes, red tomatoes, purple tomatoes, and even what I would call black tomatoes. They're called black, but some of them are more purple. We both have our favorite striped tomatoes, our favorite cherry tomatoes, and then we probably both have the tomato we think the least about. And even some of the tomatoes that we may think the least about have their purpose. They are excellent for certain things. So, and we'll discuss that. But we're also going to discuss starting seeds, tomato seeds specifically. We're going to discuss varieties, the difference in a greenhouse variety versus a field variety. Some varieties that you can grow in the field, you can grow in the greenhouse also. And a lot of varieties can be grown in the greenhouse, but shouldn't be grown in your greenhouse or high tunnel. While the greenhouse and high tunnel helps you control the water and environment and bug pressure, bird pressure, and so on and so forth, they don't help you do very well with controlling humidity and so forth that builds up overnight and in the mornings. And that causes lots of tomato diseases, funguses, and molds. And those eventually, if not taken care of, eventually lead to the death of your plant. So greenhouse is a little different. So let's start there, if I can do this without destroying all of my seed packets here. This is, I think you can see, this is some of our greenhouse varieties. We grow primarily heirlooms, but in the greenhouse that changes. But we have Big Dina. Big Dina is from Johnny Seeds, and it's a good, if I remember right, an 8 to 10 ounce, maybe 8 to 12 ounce tomato. So, you know, it's a good large tomato. It's not a big, huge beefsteak, but it's a good large tomato. They come in around 3/4 of a pound, which is a great place to be. And then red, of course, that's red. And we grow it. This is an Edox. Now, both of these two are new for us. Edox is a fairly large cherry tomato. They grow in clusters, and they ripen in clusters. You can harvest them in clusters, especially in the high tunnel. In the high tunnel, or greenhouse, they'll hold on the vine longer than they will in the field. And so you can wait for the whole cluster to ripen most of the time and then pick the whole cluster, or what they call a truss. We also have in here Golden Jubilees. Golden Jubilee is one of the traditional field type tomatoes that has some disease resistance. So we're going to experiment with that one in the high tunnel, in our greenhouse technically, this year, and see how it does. If we don't like it, next year we will buy a yellow-orange greenhouse variety. But this year we did not. We had a lot of Golden Jubilee seeds, and we decided to give them a shot. And then we also have a classic red beefsteak. I wanted to try the classic red beefsteak in the greenhouse. If the plants start giving me trouble, I will simply remove them and replace them with probably Big Dinas. We'll propagate off the Big Dinas. There'll be a separate video on that. We'll do a whole separate video on how to propagate from your existing plants. And then we have a red striped Roman. We grew the red striped Romans and the Opalkas together last year in the greenhouse late in the year, and they both did pretty decent. So we wanted to give them a full season and see how they did. That is a paste tomato, by the way. And the classic red beefsteak, of course, is a big 1.5 pound beefsteak tomato. And the Golden Jubilee is more of a 6 to 8 ounce tomato. They're not real big. So, Tiffany, if you'll set that back over there.
Sure thing.
And you see the seed trays. Normally, probably would have, most of them we would put in a smaller cell tray. That is a 98 cell. Normally, we would use a 128 or a 200 cell tray, which just means you can fit more of them in that space. But these will be being grown out longer in the tray, and the longer they're in that tray, they're going to need more root space for that root ball to grow. So that's the reason behind this. Since we are planting all these in the greenhouse, we're going to let them get a good start, because we won't be planting them for another 45 to 50 days. So they're going to grow in that for quite a while and get a nice big root system. Okay, so enough of that. We buy tomato seeds from several places, have in the past. We are now organic certified, so it will limit some of the places we used to buy seeds that we can't no more.
Yep.
Now, the beauty of that is, though, a lot of these, even though you may see the package, I'm trying to find one that's a great example, right here. Even though you see a Baker Creek package, these are not Baker Creek seeds. We have saved Hungarian heart seeds for years now. This is one of our favorite red tomatoes. And it's also a great paste tomato. If you can see there, the Hungarian heart has a really meaty slice. And that makes it a great paste tomato because it simply means there's less juice inside the tomato.
It also makes a really good sandwich slicer.
Yes.
Because you don't have all that juice soaking into your bread. So.
Yep. Well, and that's what I say. It's got a great flavor, classic red tomato flavor, and it really is a great all-around tomato. As much as I love a Cherokee purple or a carbon or a purple tomato, if I could only have one red or purple tomato, it would probably be a Hungarian heart, and that's because it can be so versatile in what it does. You know, it's a tomato that gets up to a pound, and it's a paste tomato. Now, they vary drastically in size. You can have anything from a half a pound tomato all the way up to, I think we've had as high as almost a pound and a half tomato.
Yeah, there was almost 2 pounds, I think.
We had some big ones. We got a video, I think, on that.
Yeah.
But, so, that's just one of the ones that we just, this is probably, if for us, we'll start a stack, Tiffany. This is probably a must. Hungarian heart is probably one we'll never do without.
Yep.
If at all possible. So, but what I was saying was, the seeds are not all what's in these packages, and we're starting to go away from these packages for storage sake. We're starting to package in this type of package, but we will probably be moving to. Hey, Morgan, yeah. I know you probably don't want to be on camera at the moment, but would you reach up there and get me one of the packages that the chocolate mixes and stuff is in over here in this one? Just get me one of the candy bar or whatever. I just need one package. Right, that front package will be just fine.
Okay. There you go.
But we're going to move to this type of package. We use this for other things on the farm, and it just dawned on me last night that this would make a great seed packet. If you see, it's a very similar size to what the competitors' packages are. And it's going to be a little more expensive than their packages because it's resealable. It has a Ziploc top on it, so it's a resealable package, and it's got a clear cellophane type plastic window so you can see the seeds. And obviously, you don't need nothing this big for 15 tomato seeds, but you don't want to have 50 different seed packets either, so we can store pumpkin, watermelon, cucumbers, pink celery. We already are storing pink celery seeds in this, as a matter of fact. Tomato seeds, we can store them all in just about anything in this package. Even corn could be stored in here. Obviously, corn, if you got a lot of it, you're going to need a bigger package, and we do have bigger packages of this that may be what we put our corn in. Tiffany uses them for her gluten-free fried chicken mix. But this is what we're going to. So they'll be resealable, reusable, and won't have these pretty pictures on them, but it'll work for us. So just because you see someone's package here doesn't mean we bought them off of them this year, last year, the year before that, or even some of these 8 and 9 years ago. We have just been reusing these packages. And then you will see, right here's a prime example. We didn't get around to saving Cherokee Purple seeds last year. So I have bought Cherokee Purple from Baker Creek this year. And this is a must for me. If I've got a tomato, obviously we don't plan on ever growing just one variety, because like I said, the Hungarian Heart would be, if I could only have one tomato, that's what I'm growing. And next to that would be an orange ox heart. If I could only grow one orange tomato, it would be an orange ox heart. She probably disagrees. She probably thinks a Mana orange would be what she would grow, and a Mana orange is an excellent tomato. But I like the orange ox heart because it has a lot of the same tendencies of the Hungarian Heart. Super meaty, a little less juice than the Amana orange would have, but it also probably has a little less flavor than the Amana orange. But that's my same thing I'm getting ready to say here, is the Cherokee Purple has more flavor than the Hungarian Heart, but it wouldn't make a good paste tomato. So I would have to, if I could only have one, it'd be Hungarian Heart. And if I could only have two, it would probably be orange ox heart and Hungarian Heart. She would say Amana orange and Hungarian Heart. It's just what your preferences are. But Cherokee Purple is probably the tomato that solidified my addiction to tomatoes. I had been growing tomatoes for years. My dad grew tomatoes. His dad grew tomatoes. Not just tomatoes, gardens. But when I started gardening at my first house, second house technically, at my second house, and I started getting into hobby gardening, we're way past that now. When I started getting into hobby gardening, this was the tomato I fell in love with. I tried one of these tomatoes, and I was just blown away with the smoky, sweet, juicy, meaty flavor of this tomato. It was just like nothing I had ever eaten. Now, I've got some other tomatoes we'll discuss that compare to this now, but this was my first love. So, sorry, Tiffany. This was my first love.
Well, you know.
But when I tried this tomato, I went to a friend whose dad owned a greenhouse because nobody locally sold these. And I hadn't got into seed saving at that point. And I went to a friend whose dad had a greenhouse nursery, and a big nursery. And I asked him if he could get these for me. He said, absolutely, how many you want? So I bought 100 seeds. And I used those seeds for several years. And this is still my favorite tomato. This is still the tomato I prefer to sink my teeth into. If I was only growing one tomato to put on a sandwich, this would be the one. If I was growing one tomato to eat fresh on a plate, this would be the one. But it's not going to make the best paste or pasta sauce. It does make a good pasta sauce.
It actually does. You have to cook it longer.
It takes longer to cook it.
But it makes, actually, the black, or the
Black
Cherokee
Krim.
Purple, black Krim, and if you're lucky enough, we grow them, the black icicles, make an amazing pasta sauce.
So,
you just have to cook it down more.
Right, which takes a lot more time in the
Yeah.
kitchen. I would say it's usually her problem, but I usually get involved in that time of the year too when we're working with tomatoes. So it's usually both of our problems. So Cherokee Purples are one that we have to have. Now, I'm going to go ahead and skip over to this one because we were just talking about it. Black Krim is a very similar tomato to Cherokee Purple, but the flavors are definitely different. It's a dark purple tomato, and this one is specifically noted by a lot of heirloom enthusiasts that it makes an amazing sauce, and it does. Would never critique that it didn't, because it makes a very flavorful, robust sauce, and it's great on sandwiches and so forth.
The black Krim also is one of the heirloom varieties that has a lot of disease resistance. So if you're still wanting that disease resistance with a good flavored tomato, Black Crema is a good choice.
Grow them in a greenhouse, though, doesn't work because they don't get that dark color. They stay lighter, and that's kind of the beauty of it, is the color. So Black Crema is one of my top 20 for sure.
We love it. It's just not like top 5.
Yeah, it don't make top 5 list. It's not a absolute must-have, but I do like to grow it, and it gets grown almost every other year, if not every year. And then this is one we stumbled upon about 4 years ago, maybe 5. This may be the 5th year, and it's black Brandywine. Now, Ryder Seeds calls it true black Brandywine. And I am sure the reason they call it true black Brandywine is there's several people that call some other tomatoes black Brandywine that are not. And this is, if you're familiar with pink Brandywines and red Brandywines and yellow Brandywines, we're in the same family. Potato leaf variety, even though I have noticed some of these don't produce with a potato leaf. Kind of weird. They throw you off. But
last year it was quite confusing.
Yeah, about half of them didn't have potato leaves, so we've started trying to select seeds from the ones that have the potato leaf, because it's supposed to be a potato leaf variety. Then again, maybe I could grow a whole new tomato. That's an idea. But because potato leaves are prone to disease, those leaves soak up more moisture and hold on to it. But we stumbled upon this a few years back, and it has been a super popular plant for our customers on the farm and out of the nursery, and we love it too. It's a great tasting tomato. I wouldn't quite put it Cherokee Purple flavor, but it is right there with Black Crema for flavor. I mean, it is just awesome. And this one is always great. This is probably a must-have on the farm.
Yeah.
Not to the level of Cherokee Purple or Hungarian Heart, but it's right there in that top 10. This is definitely a must-have. It's the world's darkest tomato. So it's literally, if it gets enough sun, it's black.
Yep.
And it's called Black Beauty.
If you pick it early, it reminds me of the Wicked Witch on The Wizard of Oz, because it's that purplish black with green. So it's quite interesting. But when it ripens fully, when you cut the inside is such a deep red, like a very dark burgundy.
With hint of black.
Yeah, with hint of black, but it is just, it's so good. It tastes really good too, but it's not as extremely flavorful as some of the other ones. But
But the flavor is awesome. It
Yeah.
really, for me, I don't have one tomato I want to eat every day. Cherokee Purple is one that comes close to that. But I don't have a tomato that every day I want the same tomato.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of growing the varieties we grow, is I don't have to grow the same tomato every day. Or eat the same one every day. So Black Beauty, that's in our top 20 for sure. And it's probably in our top 10. This was an amazing one too, but I definitely wouldn't put it in my top 10. This is Black Prince. It's kind of like a large plum type tomato. They're 5-ounce tomatoes roughly. And they call it kind of a blackish chocolate is what they consider it, but it's a funky purple is what I would call it. They call it a blackish chocolate. We got to move a little faster on this or my video's going to be too long. We don't have the equipment that we can upload a large video, so we got to move a little quicker. Purple Russian has turned into an excellent tomato on the farm. We've been very happy with Purple Russian. Tried it on a whim, and
we actually tried it because Baker Creek sent us free seeds.
Yep.
So.
And it's a kind of an egg shape, a plum shape setup.
But it's larger than the normal ones. It's more. So, we've had some get around that size.
Yeah.
So several inches.
It's from the Ukraine. It's been in our country now for probably 40 years. But that's a great tomato. Now here's Carbon. Carbon is supposed to be a sport. If you know what a sport is, it's a mutation. But it's supposed to be a sport of Cherokee Purple. They're actually using this one in Cherokee Purple and crossing them back to each other to create a hybrid now that is supposed to be the heavy flavor of Cherokee Purple with the crack resistance and the more consistent shape of Carbon. Carbon doesn't get that huge beefsteak blow up look. And Carbon doesn't crack as easy as Cherokee Purple. And Carbon colors out better than Cherokee Purple. So the new hybrid that they're crossing these both with is supposed to be the best of both worlds. So Carbon is my second pick. If I can't have Cherokee Purple, Carbon's my tomato.
I don't like Carbon as well.
Everybody keep me right. Okay, let's talk about pink tomatoes. And this first one is kind of a pink/red. I don't know what you'd call it, but Mortgage Lifter. Probably a little more red than pink, but it's still pink. These are around 1 pound, roughly, beefsteak type tomatoes, and it gets its name from the guy that discovered it. I think I got that right. He used it to pay his mortgage while out of business, or maybe it was his wife used it. Anyway, I probably got that story messed up. But anyway, that is an excellent tomato, and it produces lots of tomatoes. Not all of them make it to the pound mark. A lot of them are half pound. They're very inconsistent in size, but I don't mind half pound tomatoes and 1 pound tomatoes and 1.5 pound tomatoes. It works for me. So that's an excellent red tomato. Now, pink, technically. This one is one I could take or leave. Flavor is great on it. Absolutely great flavor. But it's not special enough, and the next one I'm going to talk about is why. It's not special enough that I would grow it over top of the next one because it has so many disease problems. And that's pink brandywine. And I realize, living where I live in the part of the South I live in, everybody will hate me for saying pink brandywine, I could leave it. But I know what the plants do every year. They succumb to disease. They're usually the second tomato in the garden to go down because of disease.
Yeah.
They're one of the first plants we're pulling. Those first crops are great, but right after that first round of ripened fruit comes through, you're picking the green ones because the plant's done for. And you can spray chemicals, but we don't spray chemicals. So, there you go. But it's a great tomato. You got the patience for it, that's the tomato. I prefer this one. It probably don't have quite the flavor of a pink brandywine, but it's much less disease prone in my area. Now, in your area, the pink brandywine may be great. But this is a German pink. And it produces a massive crop, massive size fruits, and in my opinion, it's superior to pink brandywine. I can sacrifice 10% of flavor to get twice the tomatoes off the plant. So, that's where we're at on pink. Now, let's move to my favorite category. Multicolored. Some people call them striped, some of them are, but multicolored is my favorite types. And this is one been growing for a few years, Old German. And Old German is an amazing tasting, good producing, solid type tomato. I mean, you just, really, I don't have nothing bad to say about it. It's just a good tomato. Looks good on a sandwich, too. Especially a bologna sandwich. Vintage wine, we tried from M.I. Gardner several years ago. And this is just a good all-around tomato. Good size. They go around a pound a piece.
Yep.
And they're just a good tomato. It's not one that you say, oh, that's the best tomato I ever ate. It's a good tomato. And that right there is what you get. So,
that's a must.
Yeah, this one, as far as a potato leaf variety, this would be probably my favorite potato leaf variety ever. And it doesn't disease as bad as pink brandywine, which is a potato leaf also. Which the true black brandywine does not disease as bad as pink brandywine either. Still does. And this one still does. But it holds out better and you get a lot of big fruits. And that's hillbilly potato leaf. Now, in my opinion, this one and the next one I'm going to talk to you about are the two best multicolored tomatoes out there. But hillbilly potato leaf, it's just, you drool watching that first one start to ripen on the vine. You walk by it twice a day, every day, going, please be ripe tomorrow, because I want to put you on my plate. It goes good with soup beans. It goes good with fried chicken. I mean, there's not much you can't put this tomato with.
And they get literally like huge. They have like 3 pounds.
We've
or
had,
more.
yeah, they can be 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pound tomatoes.
Last year we didn't have very much luck with it because apparently the groundhog decided he liked this one better than anything else.
Yeah.
So as soon as it started to get a
The first
size
one,
to
he
it,
ate
yeah.
all the ones that was a foot on the bottom foot of the vine. Now, this one may be, I may like this one a little better. I think maybe that has a little bit better flavor, the hillbilly potato leaf, but this one, disease resistance is better, and the flavor is almost the same. This is Big Rainbow. Big Rainbow is just, what can you say? 2 pound fruits. Where can you go wrong for 2 pound beefsteak?
I still like hillbilly potato leaf.
Oh, I like hillbilly potato leaf. Okay, this one we discovered by accident at a farm stand one year. Never heard about it, and then we started searching for seeds immediately. And this is a great tomato. It's chocolate stripes. Some people call it chocolate striped. I don't know if there's technically 2 different strains of it. I can't tell the difference in the 2.
We have found seeds for both.
Yep.
And we've grown both, and they both seem exactly the same to us.
There might be a little bit of a size difference, but it looks like the same tomato to me. This is a great tomato. I just don't know that I would put it up there with some of the other multicolored tomatoes that we grow, and that's pineapple. And it's great. Nothing to complain about it.
No.
I just don't know that I rank it up there with the other ones.
Yeah.
And this is a great tomato. I just don't rank it up there with the other ones. And this is gold medal. We usually end up growing gold medal almost every year since we started growing it. It's a great tomato.
Yeah.
I like also growing the multiple varieties because some years one variety will fail you. A couple of years ago, our Cherokee purples failed us. Our fault, their fault, whatever. Bad soil problem, fertilizer problem, planting date. Our Cherokee purples, we planted about 12 of them, and we probably didn't get 10 pounds of tomatoes off 12 plants. It was a bad year. So you know what I did? All the seeds went in the garbage, and I started with a new batch of seeds the next year. My favorite tomato has to produce. It can't do that. Now this one's a new one for us, so I can't tell you nothing about it. This is Orange Jazz. I'm excited to try it. It's a real pretty striped tomato.
Alyssa actually wanted this one. So
It's a beefsteak, and it's the breeder's name is Fred Hempel. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. It's supposed to be fruity and juicy with a crisp texture and complex flavors. Large productive plants. Obviously you got to stake them like almost any tomato. So we're looking forward to that one. We'll see how it does.
we may want to cut this one off and start a video number 2. We are at 28 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Folks, we're going to stop this video. We'll have to do a part 1 and a part 2 because I really don't want to cut, it may even be a part 3. I don't want to cut you short, and we just don't have the equipment to upload an hour-long video. My equipment tells me no.
Yeah.
So, we're going to stop that there.
So look for part 2 right behind part number 1.